Zoom recording. Perfect. The last thing I want is to not have a recording of this. All right. So again, there are 4 things that I think of every time I go into ChatGPT, 4 keys to a successful prompt. That's context, the background info, right? So that it knows what it's going to be writing about. We'll give some examples in this in a minute. The task, what you actually want it to do. Specificity. Again, I'm going to go into more examples. I've got 1 slide on each of these things, and iterations. So I almost never ask it to do something once. I almost always ask it to do something 2 to 3 times, and then I'm able to review what it gave me. Sometimes I mix and match, and sometimes one is just a better format to use for what I want it to be for. So when I'm talking about context, you need to give as many details as possible. You can give it a persona. Oftentimes that persona is me, right? So I'll say, you are a marketer. So now ChatGPT thinks it's a marketer. It thinks it's me, right? And then I can tell it the next things. Again, I'm going to show you examples of this, but use colons. So these should actually be like, it'll look more accurate like this, where you can give it multiple prompts. The topic is marketing ethically. The audience is entrepreneurs. And again, you can give it more details. The goal here might be to get people to download. Why can I not? I can't talk and download my free checklist. And then I'm going to show you how you're going to come up with writing style in a minute. So you can give it lots of information. And what I do is I actually have a Trello card where I save things that I'm frequently telling it. So I can come into, this is a little snippet right here about how I define just marketing. I use this for ChatGPT all the time. I'll just copy and paste it in there so that it knows what just marketing is, since that's a term that I kind of engineered or created, but I want it to be able to understand what that means. And again, I'm going to show you how to get this. This is my style, voice, and tone. So when it comes to writing things like emails or blogs, I tell it to write it in my style, voice, and tone, and I can just copy and paste it. I don't have to like recreate the wheel every single time. So we'll be going into some of those things. Going down to the 3rd key, tasks, what you want it to do. This is just an example. The things that this tool can do is unbelievable, right? Anything you can ask a person, you can ask ChatGPT. So I bolded, it's hard to see what's bolded, but the ones that are bolded are the ones that I use most frequently. So asking it to brainstorm ideas. I almost always ask it to brainstorm 10, sometimes 20, because they're not all going to be winners. So you can ask it to brainstorm 10 ideas about how to market ethically, and then it'll brainstorm those ideas, and then you can pick the ones that are good and expand on them. Create a marketing or exercise or content plan, anything you could use a plan for, a meal plan. I know that's personal and not business, but you could ask it to create you a content plan for the next 3 months and give it some context, some background information about what you focus on, who your audience is, etc. And we'll dive in and play with this in a minute. I will give you these slides. So again, don't feel like you've got to write them all down, but I just wanted you to have a peek. So the other thing that is cool is, can you convert this to like Australian English? So I'm in the US, but I do have some ad clients who are in Australia or in England or worldwide, and so American English isn't the same as Australian English. I can have ChatGPT do the conversion so I don't miss any of the OUs or the S's instead of Z's and things like that. So lots of really cool things. Oh, another thing, we'll get into this too, but simulating an interview has been really cool. So as a podcaster, I can give it the information about my upcoming podcast and who my guest is going to be, and ask it to come up with questions to ask them. Now, again, you want to review it all and make sure it's relevant, but just some tasks we can assign it to do. Specificity, what I mean by that is be really clear on what you want. So a lot of these bullets here are things that you could tell it if you're asking it to write an email, a blog post, even a social media post. Be specific. How many characters do you want? How many words do you want if you have the information? If you're writing an Instagram post, oh gosh, I always have to Google it. I think it's 2,200 words, 2,200 characters, I mean, that Instagram can have. I always Google it to make sure, but you can tell ChatGPT right off the bat. Maybe you want to say keep it under 2,000 so that you have room for hashtags. You can tell it to use strong actionable verbs. You can tell it to use H2 tags for each section. So that if you're writing a blog post, it's automatically formatting it for you. You can tell it to create a sense of urgency or intrigue, to use strong persuasive language, short sentences. I always say clear and concise. I want it to be short and simple, easy to read. So figure out, and again, you'll build on this. You'll figure out exactly what type of articles or what type of feedback you need to give it to have it regenerate things that are as close as possible to what you want it to do. Iterations, like I said, I almost never do anything once. So I will say, hey, can you create me an outline for a blog post that has to do with what ethical marketing is? It'll give me the outline. Then I say something like, okay, cool, I got this outline. Can you expand on it? Can you add a sentence or two to each bullet point and expand on it? It'll expand on it, and maybe it's too like textbook, right? That's not how I write. I'm not a textbook writer, so I'll say make it more conversational. I feel like that's one of my iterations that I use all the time. Write me an email inviting people to a Zoom chat on ChatGPT. Now, make it more conversational. Add some sarcastic humor to it. The other day, I played with it and I said, add a 90s pop culture reference. And it can like pull some of these things. Actually, I didn't say 90s. I think I just said pop culture. Added something about the great philosopher Beyonce. And I thought that was cute and something that I would maybe not come up with myself, but love to say. So that's what I mean by iterations. Okay. I want to show you how it can learn your writing style. You can take a screenshot of this if you want. I will send you the slides, but I'm just going to copy and paste this into ChatGPT. The first thing here is an example of your writing, and I have this blog post pulled up that I haven't published yet, but I wrote it. And it's something I wrote myself. I took a lot of time on it. I had my husband proofread it because I'm not the best at English. So let me go ahead and paste it in here. I'm going to put it in quotes so that it knows what the piece of work is. And then I just like putting spaces between it. So I'm telling it, analyze the text above for style, voice, and tone, and then create a prompt to write a new article in the same style, voice, and tone. So I'm giving it a post that I'm really proud of, and I feel like it sounds like me. And I'm asking it to make a prompt that I can use for later. It'll be interesting to see. They're not always, or what's it doing? Hold on. It's like, come on, ChatGPT. Did I do something wrong? Stop generating. I'm going to try to see what it says if I put that back in there. And I'm going to compare it to what it said to me before. So in this prompt, it just put something in there, practicing meditation, but you would just sub that out for whatever you wanted to use. So you would copy this whole thing. Oops. And then that's what you would paste into your, wherever you're putting your notes, whether it's a Trello board or a Google Doc. So here, this is what I did before. It says, write in a conversational, straightforward style, easy to understand. Your voice should be authoritative and knowledgeable. And I think it's similar over here, concise, informative, neutral, and objective. So that's a little different, but I think I don't know why this didn't work. Isn't that always the way though, when you've got like people paying attention? And it didn't work. Maybe it was too big of a writing sample. That's another thing I could try again, but I swear that when I made it, this is what I did. So maybe I would just try a smaller writing sample. Let me try one more time and see if it's still. Nope, it's for some reason, it's summarizing the article. I just take this. This isn't something I wrote, but I'm just trying to show you that this actually does work. So maybe it just needs to be a smaller sample. And you see now it's spitting it out based on that little positive and hopeful. And when you read it, you should be like, yes, clear, concise, that's what I want. Easy to read and understand. Straightforward language, avoids unnecessary jargon. Like, this is all perfect, right? And now it's giving me a prompt, and then it's writing an article. So if you don't need the article, you don't need the article. So that's that's something I recommend people do first, because it's going to help you with your writing style going forward. Another cool thing is you can ask ChatGPT to act as a coach, like a life coach or a business coach. Now, this is a really long prompt. I would recommend copying and pasting it. I got this from, I got it online. I'll have to get the name of the person. I should have put a note on here to credit them, but I didn't. So that's my bad. But you can copy and paste this. You can sub in business coach, life coach, what you want help with. And then you could actually, this whole prompt asks you, like, ask one question at a time, and you can actually talk with ChatGPT to work through questions that you may have if you don't actually have somebody to like troubleshoot it. I thought that was awesome. All right, 3 Google Chrome extensions I encourage you to use, and I'm going to show you what each one of these does. The first one is ChatGPT Writer. If you just write that into Google and write Google extension, it's going to come up. I've got it plugged in up here, and I'm going to show you how it works, what it does. So this is a reel that I posted earlier in the week, and Jamie gave me a comment. Now, I responded to the comment and was like, yeah, that too, for sure. Well, that's kind of a dumb response, right? Like, it's okay, I wrote it, but it was like, that's all I could come up with. Now, if I had used this tool, what it does is it asks you to paste in, it helps you figure out how to respond to things. So this could be a comment on your social media, it could be in your Facebook group, it could be an email, it could be somebody leaves you a review on your business page, right? And you don't want to just be like, thanks. You want to give it some more something. So what you do is you paste the previous message or email in here. Now, because it's a small, I'm going to paste both things. I'm going to paste what I said and what she said to give it more context. And then I'm going to make sure to just remove that, because that's just the metadata from Instagram. So what I said is, when you know better, you do better. And she said also, things change. Things that worked a few years ago don't always work now. I want to say, I agree with that too. Generate response. You have to be logged in to ChatGPT, but now it's going to give you a response that's better than like, yeah, totally. So absolutely true. As we gain new knowledge and understanding, we can make more informed decisions and take actions that are more effective and beneficial. Now, maybe this is still a little too, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go into a new chat. I'm going to post that. I'm going to say, make that more conversational. Maybe I just want it to be a little less formal. And now you might not want to take this word for word, right? You still might want to edit it, but it might be a little long. Well, I kind of like that. I didn't read the whole thing yet, but I like that it ended with a question, because the social media platforms favor that back and forth communication, right? So if I can respond to Jamie in a way that's going to get her to respond back to me, the social media platforms are going to favor that. Now I'm just thinking, like, this is real things happening right now. I'm like, man, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to make add something into my specificity, right? That says end with a question. Anytime I make a social media post, end with a question. Or anytime I'm responding to a comment, end with a question, because that's going to help with the engagement. So again, I don't want to read this whole thing. Y'all can read it, but even just absolutely, you're right on the money there. That's better than what I wrote. Okay, yeah, that's right, you know? So just giving, but again, I love the end of the question. Anyhow, that's why I love using that tool. You could also use it if you get, where'd it go? Oh, I was in Instagram and now yeah. So if you got negative feedback, I think I have one in here that's like, sorry, my bad, right? Oops. See if it'll just regenerate. Now, this doesn't really make sense, but yeah, it's like, that's absolutely true. It's just repeating the same thing I said. I bet if I started with a fresh one. But if you made a mistake, you could use this to help you apologize as well. Now my computer is being dumb. I can't like find the F. All right, let me just hit refresh. All right, so let's go to the next one. This is my favorite. I feel like if you only walk away with one thing, walk away with this. AIPRM, I have no idea what that stands for ChatGPT. It's a plugin, and I turned it off so that you could be wowed once I turned it back on. All right, so this is what you normally see, right? When you sign into ChatGPT, if you've signed in, this is what you see. I turned that extension on. This changed, but I'm waiting for something else to change. There we go. So what this extension does is it pulls in prompts from this plugin where people contribute. So it's almost like Tumblr or something, right? Where you can contribute and then people can use your thing. You can go into copywriting, write a complete book in one click. I don't know, that sounds a little clickbaity. But there's some of these things that I have used that have been really cool. So you can come in here, get a monthly content calendar in one click. All right, I'll bite. So click on that. And it says insert the primary keyword you want to create content for. Now for me, my brand being just marketing, I know that that's a term I created, but I know that ethical marketing is something that like Google knows and people know more. So I often will say, create something for ethical marketing, and then I can always sub the word ethical for just. So now it's coming up with a content calendar for ethical marketing. So it's breaking up 5 days by 4 weeks. I think these are meant to be blog posts, but nothing says they have to be blog posts, right? They can be social media posts, they can be emails. And if something doesn't make sense, you don't have to use it, and you don't have to do these once a day for 4 weeks. So this is really 20 prompts that I can use to create content in my business. So let's just say this one is something I really like, the do's and don'ts of ethical marketing. So I can come down here and say, can you outline a blog post for the title, do's and don'ts of ethical marketing? Please write in my style, tone, and voice. Actually, I'll leave that out for now. Let's just have it create the outline. Now, the cool thing about ChatGPT is you see over here how they've got all these chats. Each chat window learns, remembers, maybe is a better way, remembers what the discussion was in that chat window. So as long as I'm working on this blog post or this thread of content calendar, I can keep it in this chat. I'll only create a new chat if it's for a different topic or task. By keeping it in the chat, it's going to be able to keep improving on itself. So let's see, it's outlined this blog post. Let's just give it a quick look. Introduction, what is ethical marketing? I just want to see if there's anything that's like definitely wrong or something I wouldn't want to say, and there's not. So now I'm going to say expand on the outline. Let's keep it simple. So what I'm trying to get it to do now is start to write this blog post for me, and it's going to give you a more detailed breakdown. Now, this is a topic, and you're going to be you're going to be chatting about topics that you're familiar with. So this is just meant to guide you how I do things, guide you in writing it. The reason I don't want to just copy and paste it is because there are crawlers that are going to be able to identify, and I'm going to show you what one of those are. That's actually one of the next plugins or Google extensions that can identify whether it's AI text or not. But we're only on section 3 here. I don't know how many words this is, but this is providing me an incredible foundation for writing this blog post. I'm going to just let it finish up really quick because it's almost done. I always think it's almost done, right? Following this more detailed outline. So then if you wanted to, you could say, write an article following that outline, use my tone, voice, and style. And then I'm going to come back over here, grab that, find my window. And let it do its thing. From here, though, this is really where I encourage you to read it, review it, and then change what makes sense to change so that it won't get detected as AI copy. So while it's doing that, let me show you about the AI copy detection. That's this Copy Leaks AI content detector. Again, if you search those words and Chrome extension, it will come up. I have it up here in my browser already. So let's come over here and just grab this first paragraph, copy that, and go into Copy Leaks. Oh, actually, it looks like it already. Actually, that was it. And it said, did a human write it? This says it's human text. So that's impressive. I have found that oftentimes the intro and outro, or intro and conclusion, you can tell I'm a podcaster, right? Intro and outro. The introduction and the conclusion are more likely to be detected. Here, this says AI content detected, and it says 94% predictability or probability for AI. So this is one of those things that if you're worried about that, you may want to change it. There's a lot of opinions out there right now about how Google and the search engines are going to handle AI generated text. There are some people who think that they're not gonna rank it at all. So if it's AI, you're not gonna get ranked. There are other people who suggest that it's based on quality. So if the AI generated content is quality, they still will rank it. We're just in a position where I don't feel comfortable saying one way or another because it's still new enough that we don't have the data to back that. So I think it's best practice to try to make sure that as much of the content that you're creating is authentic to what you would normally say. And just taking this article, which if we highlight it, I'm just curious how many words this is, word counter. So 525 words, like that's a decent article to write. And you could also turn it into, like I said, a social media post. Probably not so many words. I probably would have left that at the outline or told it, let's go back and say, can you create a social media post to accompany this article? Use emojis, make it fun and compelling. And let's see what it comes up with. Which this is cool, especially if you're, for a long time, I felt like I couldn't really communicate well in emojis. Now, of course, for just marketing, I don't recommend using a ton of emojis, but I also kind of like letting it put them in for me, and then I can take out the ones that I don't want to use. So now you can see this is a decent sized social media post. There's a ton of emojis. Like I said, I would take out the ones I didn't want to use. They gave you some suggested hashtags. And I mean, we've only been on this call for a half an hour. I've gone over a lot of stuff, and we've basically written a blog post and a social media post. And then I could ask it to also create an email to notify my list that I've written this new blog post. And now it's going to create an email that's also different, right, from the social media post and the blog post itself. And again, I feel like I can't say it enough, but I'm only going to say it one more time. I recommend just reading this and kind of rewriting it a little bit in your own words. If there's something that's like really you wouldn't say, then don't say it. Sometimes they throw in some, like I wouldn't say dear in my emails. Change what you need to change. Okay. So the other thing, I almost forgot I was even working on this this plugin. So I love this Instagram post descriptor carousel content generator. This one, carousel posts on Instagram are very powerful for a couple different reasons. One of my favorite things about them is that if you post a carousel on Insta, let's just say, I know there's a couple Jennifers here in the crowd, but let's just say Jennifer sees my post, my carousel. She's going to see the first card of my carousel on Instagram. If nothing happens and she just scrolls right by it, later in the day, typically she'll see that same carousel, but she's going to see it on the second card. So Instagram automatically is flipping through those cards to attempt to show people all of the cards in your carousel. So it really is kind of the same thing as posting 10 different posts to post 10 cards in a carousel, because Insta's going to go through them and attempt to show them to all of your people. So here you could say, I want to create an Instagram post and enter the Instagram. Let me just, I'm going to use, I know Jennifer Lee's on the call. So how to start a podcast. And it's going to break down what they recommend you should use for a carousel post, including what kind of images you might want to use, what kind of copy you should include, the whole shebang. I think this is a game changer for people who have creative, blockers, which I think we all do. With this, it's going to be easy. You can come up, you just need the idea, and you're going to be able to come up with those carousel. You could do 2 to 3 a week, because all you need is the initial idea, and this is going to spit out everything else you need to make that happen, complete with what the images should be. Now, it may not be perfect, right? But you can go into Canva and you can create those graphics. Now here it's posting the post description or the caption that will accompany that, including hashtags. And because of the plugin, right, you get these little like messages, but they work incredibly. So I feel like this is something, this AI PRM, which I have no clue again what that stands for, but there's so many things here that you could go through. And I did this hooks generator before. I think I have it pulled up. So I have a couple hooks for, I have a couple different products that I wanted to get hooks for. And I think it generated 10 for each, but I didn't like all of them. So then I just deleted the ones I didn't like, kind of refreshed, fluffed up the ones I do like. And now I have this as a resource. So if I wanted to create an image, this is something I could say, or I could use that for other ideas, right? Like if I wanted to create a social media post, I could turn these 6 bullets into 6 social media posts by highlighting the different hooks for that content. I've been talking a lot for a half an hour. Does anyone have any questions about anything I've gone over so far. I feel like that was, I'm just going to open it up for questions because I feel like that's everything I kind of wanted to go over, all of my excitement. I don't know if there's, okay, there are chat questions. Hold on. How do they know what? Jennifer, I think that might be Jennifer Lee. How do they know? Oh, the AI detector, maybe that's what it was about. How do they know it's AI? I don't know. I don't know. That's why I use that CopyLeaks AI content detector. I don't know. I don't know how they know. I did see, and I haven't played with this yet, full disclosure, but I did see somebody else recommend, like they use ChatGPT first, and then they use Jasper. Jasper, I think it's jasper.ai. It's a paid tool, and it is, in my opinion, a little pricey. However, what I've seen happen was they have ChatGPT write it, and then they have Jasper kind of rewrite it, and then it passes the test more frequently. So it's just yeah, it's just a matter. Sorry, I'm reading the Jen, the Playmaker Jen. You weren't able to access ChatGPT, is that what you were saying? I've had it a couple times where it says that it's busy. They do have a paid version. I think it's $20 a month, but I'm not sure if it's available to everybody. I think you might have to like be using the free version for a while, and then they give you the option to upgrade. I have not done that yet. I very well may, but I haven't yet. So I would just try again. There's only been a couple times that I haven't been able to get in. I know some people will try to like log in the morning and keep it logged in. I know eventually it will log you out, but you could just try to get in at any time during the day and keep it open. Bobby, I did record it, so I'm happy to give you the recordings. I can post them. I'll post it in the event, and I'll make sure to tag you too. Yeah, so Jen, you asked about the YouTube channel. There's actually, let me see if I still have it on my Chrome extension. I haven't used this one too much. Oh yeah, it's right here. YouTube summary with ChatGPT. So you could Google that Chrome extension. I haven't played with it too much, so I don't want to pretend that I know all the things, but you can use that when you're in YouTube, and it can automatically transcribe your video and then write a summary of it. And then you could take that transcription and or a summary and do things like go back into ChatGPT and say, write me a social media post, turn this into bullets, etc. So you can definitely use it to summarize your podcasts and things like that.
That's cool. I guess I was thinking, would there be a way, like if you have all these videos and you want to include in that blog post or something, include a relevant video from my YouTube channel on X topic or something, like, can it somehow do that? Or like with your website, you're like, hey, can you include in here
Links
a link
back.
where it'd be relevant to, yeah. Can you drive it somehow to your other relevant content?
So my guess is going to be no. This ChatGPT isn't actually connected to the internet. So that's another like fun fact, is this was built in, I believe last I knew, the knowledge base was through December of 2021. So it's also not going to be accurate if you say like, if you ask it how many people used Facebook in 2022. But kind of the cool thing, let me just do that. How many Facebook users were there in 2022? It usually will say like, I'm sorry, I don't have information. Oh, September 2021. I thought it was December, my bad. And then it'll give you what it does now. So that's important to remember too. And if you're writing something like fact-based, you're going to want to fact check, because even though this tool it was about a month ago, maybe not even a month ago, that ChatGPT OpenAI passed the bar exam. Like, that's crazy. But so it's very smart, but it doesn't mean it's always accurate. So if it's something very like educational, I would fact check the facts that are in there. And then you said link to a lead magnet on your website. If you give it the URL, it will either put it in there or it will give you a spot where you can link for it yourself. So it's not going to be able to search the internet right now. I think there may be other AI tools that can, but this one's free. So I feel like this is where most people are getting started. Okay, so Bobby said that she upgraded and no longer has trouble getting on, but hasn't really discovered the full value of the paid version yet. I know like some of the perks are that you can get on easier and that you have longer capabilities, like to produce longer form content. I know it cuts off at some point, and I'll tell you when one way to kind of get around that. So when we did, I don't remember where it is now, I think it was this one, yeah, the blog post. When we did this blog post, this only had 4 sections. I've had it outline blog posts that have like 7 or 8 sections. What I will do in that case is I won't ask it to write the entire post. You see here, it wrote that 500 character post, but it's not going to write like a 2000 character blog post. That's too much. But you could separate, you could say, can you write me a blog post on this, or write me an article just on section 2, then write me an article just on section 3. Now you'll get like those 300-word articles, and then you just have to blend them together. Or you can ask it to write the section, write me section 3, blah, blah, blah. And it can write it section by section. But again, you're just going to want to make sure that you have those transition sentences in there so that it makes sense. Oh yeah, Jen, I did that too, where I couldn't get in and I was like, well, notify me. And then it doesn't ever do anything, but I was able to get in eventually. AJ, you have a question regarding transcription and summary.
Yeah, so beautiful presentation, Meg. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So if I heard you correctly, you said that the AI has the ability to be able to transcribe like podcasts or YouTube videos and then summarize them. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, hold
Yeah,
on.
because I do like a morning podcast show every single day. It's called the 1% Growth Club, and there's so much like tools and technologies and methodologies that are shared on those calls. It would be really great to be able to use this technology to be able to summarize them or get like the most the meats, I guess, of those conversations, and then we can turn them into posts.
I'm just looking for, sorry, with Zoom, I've got all those like windows up. So come on, man. Nope, stop. So if we go here, oh gosh. It's just the settings. Oh, I know, because it's supposed to be on here somewhere. See, that's the thing. I haven't played with this one much, but I would. Sorry, I'm trying to see if I can figure it out right up here. Transcript and summary. So here is the whole transcript. I don't see the summary though. View AI summary, open the tool. So this is, again, it brought my whole transcript in here, but it's not very user-friendly, obviously. And here is it.
Okay, but that's great.
Summarizing it.
Oh, that's fantastic. And that's a plugin, correct?
Yeah. So again, this one, I didn't put it on my little sheet because I haven't used it too much myself. YouTube summary with ChatGPT. And it's a
Great, thank you so much.
Extension.
Could you do something like if you have a whole bunch of videos and you wanted to create like that content calendar around it, where you could say, take all of these titles of videos I have and create a 4-week content calendar for them, something like that, where it doesn't need the content itself from all the videos, but if you just gave it like its title, it could kind of.
Are you thinking like the content calendar would be like social media posts?
Yeah, that then you would end up, yeah. Like,
I think I would probably, the way I would probably do it is to do one blog post at a time, and you could ask it to create 3 social media posts for each one. Do you know what I mean? I think that would probably be.
Yeah. I was just trying to think, because I'm like, you get to the point where you have all this content out there and then you're like, you want to reuse it. And it's like, oh, I just need to make sure like it gets back on the calendar of like, how can I reuse this or use this slightly different? And I know,
do you use
not
a
leveraging
scheduling
it.
Tool?
I do to a degree, it doesn't allow me reschedule things or something. So I just have a calendar, I kind of map it out and try to remember to be like, oh.
I would recommend Social Bee for that. I know that's not really the point of this conversation, but Social Bee is, or I use Agorapulse, but Agorapulse is pricier. That might be good for you if you're managing. I know Jennifer does marketing too. So if you're managing multiple social media accounts, Agorapulse is amazing, but it is pricey. But Social Bee allows you to upload content in categories and then recycle the content automatically. So you could say every Wednesday, I wanted to share a blog post. And if you have a new blog post, then that goes to the top of your queue. But if you don't have a blog post this week, it'll recycle the next one in queue, and it constantly goes through them all. And if you know that you do 1 blog post a week, but you also want to share 1 past blog post, then I would just have that category go out on like Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Tuesday will be like your new blog post and Thursday will be.
And that would just be the same post over and over, versus here you could actually be like, hey, I want to use the same video, but come up with like a different way to introduce it or something. So it feels a little bit fresh. You could do that like with this kind of piece of it, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right.
I'm just thinking about like, where it might fit in at this point. Definitely seems like a lot of opportunity, but just getting started with it. So I'm excited. This was really helpful.
Yeah. And the other thing, I know there's a couple of people here who are in my weekly social content program. And I pulled up a calendar too. I forgot I had this pulled up because I've got all this stuff up here, all my little tabs open. But like here, you want to share, this is an example of the January calendar that I sent out to them. So you can use this for most of these things too. So credibility or differentiator, I already did this one. I did how ADHD helps me become a better marketer. And let's see if I can find it because I just did so many. Here it is, ADHD. So I asked it up here. I want to write a long form social media post about how my ADHD has helped me to become a better marketer. And oh, I don't know, that might have just came from here where it says output in English. And again, I wouldn't start a social media post with, hey, everyone. That's not how I write my content, but you can still see how this would at least provide me with a foundation, right? Where I know what I want to say, but I don't exactly know how I want to say it. And if there isn't anything more true than this statement right here, right? My attention could be all over the place. So it gives you the foundation to do that. Most everything in here you can use in some way, shape, or form. If you don't have FAQs, let me open a new chat. What are the most often asked questions by entrepreneurs interested in starting a podcast? Again, I'm just kind of picking. And then it's going to come up with the most often asked questions. Now, if you're just getting started, right? So like you want to answer FAQs, you want to establish yourself as an authority in your space. That's what those prompts are meant to do in weekly social content. But nobody's asking you questions yet because you're just getting started. Here's 10 questions that you can answer. You could answer 1 FAQ a week and you've got almost a quarter worth of content here. And you could say like, can you give me 10 more questions? And I don't know, it should come up with 10 more. And now you've got FAQ content And if you don't know something, let me have it stop generating. You could just ask it the question. Now, I'm not asking it to write the blog post or to write the social media content. I'm just asking it the question, seeing what it's going to come up with. And then I can take that and run with it however I want to run with it. So that's the other thing. I know not everyone is participating in weekly social content, but I also wanted to point out how like it doesn't make everyone's like, oh, this is going to make marketers irrelevant. It's going to make copywriters irrelevant. It's not. It's a tool that I feel like you either learn to leverage or you get left behind. But it's a tool that's going to help the strategy, whether ChatGPT comes up with your strategy or whether you're using my strategy or whether you're using your own strategy, where you can take these things, like some of it, they don't know your most successful client. So like you may have to come up with some of that, but once you figure out the personality traits, that's when you can come back to ChatGPT. Why is it? And say, my most successful clients are, I don't know, I can't come up with anything right now, but X, Y, Z, those things. And you can have it write you the post. And then you just tweak it and adjust it so that it still sounds like you and it saves you tons and tons of time. And like I said, go through this. The only thing I go through this slowly. I made the mistake. I took like one day and I went and I did like all of the things. And then I had so much stuff and I was like, oh my God, now what? You know, like I couldn't focus on it. So do like one of these things a day. I focus mostly on copywriting, marketing, and SEO. SEO had a cool one where you can outrank an article. So, let me delete this. So you can put in a competitor blog post and I don't know, let me see. I don't even know who my competitor would be. Let me pick a friend. Let me go to the coffee house / oops. I'm going to be able to come up with. All right, so here's an article that she wrote. I hope she doesn't mind me using her thing. And if I said I wanted to beat her, let me just paste her URL in. And now it's going to write an article that outranks her. Now, will it? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not Google. I don't know if this is actually going to outrank her or not. And I would definitely make sure to read both articles and make sure the salon and make sure that it's not like plagiarizing anything. But I think that's a cool one to play with. So many cool things to play with. All right, any other questions? Otherwise, I'm gonna let y'all go a little early. Yeah, I'm glad everybody got value out of this. I don't pretend to be an AI expert. This is just something that I feel like I've dived into. Not great at English, right? Anyhow, it's something that I've gotten into over the past couple of weeks, and I'm having a blast with it. And I know other people feel like we should be, right? Like we should leverage tools to make things easier. Awesome. Awesome. Oh yeah, let me get you real quick. Where's my slides? So I'm gonna get you this link. Anyone with the link can view, so then you can copy it into this. So you can grab that. I will post it in the event too, but that's the slides. Thank you, Bobby. I'm glad that the tips are helping. Thank you so much. I love doing stuff like this, and it just makes me so happy that it was actually helpful and not just me babbling forever and people being bored. I have a
Meg,
habit.
I love when you shared too the other day about how you just use it in general life and homeschooling and stuff like that, about even what to make for dinner. So that was so cool. So
Yeah,
everything you're saying is so valuable.
You can go in there. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute so I can see, everybody, but you can go in there and you can be like, I've got corn and these spices and, you know, these vegetables. Can you meal prep for me? And it can come up with recipes for you. Or my kids are homeschooling, and you would think that it could be problematic, right? Because they could just get like the answers to all of their things, which is true, but the internet is the same way. But ChatGPT can like walk you through the process too. So you can say like, well, if, you know, 2x equals 6, you know, let's do a problem I can solve. It can tell you that x equals 3 and here's why, and it'll go through the process. So there's lots of cool ways even that we can use this for our kids, figuring out how to teach our kids math when the math being taught now is different than the math we were taught, or, you know, different strategies. I really think that the capability is like where the tool ends is where your imagination ends. You know, like as long as you can think it, worst case, it's going to tell you it can't do that. But best case, it's going to save you some time. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Meg. Have a great day. I'm gonna jump on with you tomorrow on happy hour.
Awesome. Awesome. I'll see you then.
tomorrow.
Bye, everyone.